Hey, hi, and welcome. It's Peg, and I am doing the fast version from Art Joy is Sharing. Today we just had a pop-up stream. Chelsea and I know that there are so many people that are stuck at home and looking for something to do, so we just thought we'd get together in a stream and create a place for people to chit-chat, make some art, talk with their friends about what's going on in their lives. And my thing today was I had started a bunch of alcohol ink cards for the last couple days anyway, and I still had all this stuff on my desk. Now, we'd talked about it, and we were going to do some gel printing. Well, I had so much stuff on my desk that I never did get around to the gel printing because I made a whole bunch of these alcohol ink backgrounds the other day, and I'll try to remember to put an iCard in and links down below, or add this to the Alcohol Ink playlist. So if you're interested in that sort of thing and just want to keep on watching more, um, I have a playlist with Alcohol Ink, and I also have the videos that I did the other day making more cards. So this one, this is a stamp from Penny Black, I believe, and I stamped it in black and embossed it in clear. And I'm just going to mount that onto a greeting card with some Sukwane tape. I like to use wet adhesive or the Sukwane because those roller tapes, they don't hold up in the mail. I used them for years and stuff would be falling apart and I'd be so embarrassed because you spend all this time making cool art for people you think they're going to enjoy, and then the tape isn't any good. So, yeah, this is another die cut card where I just layered a die cut over the top of the alcohol ink background. And people were asking me about what kind of compressor I was using to move the alcohol ink around with. It really doesn't matter. I mean, you can use a basting bulb if you want to. You just need something to move that alcohol around on your page. And I happen to have been privileged enough that maybe 20 years ago I went to a Copic class, and I was out in Anaheim, and at the end of the class, they were selling off the compressors that we used in class, and it was half price. So I had purchased it, put it in the overhead in the plane coming home, and I have a compressor. Now, I know that you can go to places like uh, what is it, Harbor Freight, places like that, and find a compressor. I'm sorry, I apologize. I had to cut a section out. I have two cameras running when we do these live streams because people tell me that they cannot see everything on my desk because we split a screen. Chelsea and I split a screen on YouTube so that we could show what she's doing on her desk and what I'm doing on my desk. And so I typically record the fast version on another camera, and I did not have it set up properly. So I apologize. So what I'm doing now is just using some alcohol to remove some of the ink in the stamped image. But what I was telling you was you can buy a compressor at a hardware store. Um, you can buy a compressor at an art store because they have them for high flow for those people that are making t-shirts and stuff like that. So, I mean, there are a lot of places to get a compressor. And if you have multiple uses for a compressor, I'd say you might want to think about getting one. But if you don't need a compressor, you don't need a compressor just to move alcohol ink around on a piece of paper. You can blow it. Like I said, you can use a basting thing. You can use those things that clean earwax out of kids' ears, all of that kind of stuff. A straw. This just happens to be what I have because I was fortunate enough to procure that a long time ago, and I use it for multiple purposes. So, okay, so now I've taken the coloration out of that image and I'm just using some alcohol markers. These are Studio 7-1 markers, alcohol markers. They're only like a buck a marker. So I picked them up recently when I went to a craft show, and I like them, and so I'm using that to add a little bit of color into the flowers on this card. And they're asking me about different things in the live audience. They're asking about cleaning a gel plate, and they're asking about alcohol ink and alcohol lift ink. And so I get out the alcohol lift ink, and I'm just showing the audience, what I had done in a previous video. And, check the iCard. I do have more information about alcohol lift ink and stencils and stamps and all kinds of things in the playlist. So if that's what you're interested in, you can certainly go check out that playlist and find more information. But I'm just demoing here how you can lift that alcohol ink using that alcohol lift ink and create an image on your background. Because they were saying they had not had a lot of success with that. So, yeah, I think it depends mostly on how detailed the images that you're using. You're going to get better results with something that's a thicker image. So now I'm back to gluing down my pieces, talking to the audience, and basically just having a good time creating. So yeah, I'm going back into more detail about stamps and alcohol lift ink because there's still more questions coming in. And so I'm going to grab a stamp, and I'm just going to stamp using the ink that's on this piece of card. This is actually Yupo that I'm lifting off of. You want a non-porous surface to lift from, and then a porous surface to stamp onto when you're using the alcohol lift ink. It's just the nature of it, because you want something that's going to soak up what you're picking up on your stamp. So I just have a piece of cardstock for card making. It's not probably the best, but it's just plain cardstock. I stamped that image, and now I'm rubbing off where the ink was on there, and you can see, you get the impression. If you want a bolder image, you're probably going to want to use a bolder stamp. Here I'm showing them the difference using a bolder stamp. This is a Seth Apter stamp. I'm putting that on there. I'm going to stamp that onto the background. I've lifted some ink. I'm going to stamp that over onto the cardstock, and you can see there's the alcohol that has moved to the cardstock, and now I am just polishing up that piece that I stamped onto. So, alcohol lift ink, fun stuff. Back to stamping and making things. So I had the stamp out. I thought, well, I've got this image on the background. I should probably do something, because I'll end up creating something with this card eventually. So I'm just going to stamp that image onto the lifted piece that we'd created. Why not? It's there. And that's the way I create, is I've got stuff out on my desk, I use it. All right. So back to the regular scheduled show. So I'm talking about the bolder images that you can use when you are working with the alcohol lift ink, and I'm just showing some examples of that. Now, back to my backgrounds. What I'm doing is just pulling out some of the colors that are on the Yupo paper and creating my cards. And I like these pastel colors. It's spring. It's time to get out some of those pastel colors. And layering things up, like I said before, I like to use my Sookwang tape and my wet adhesive. So I'm going to tape those pieces down, and it'll be a lot of that here. So if you're into watching me just layer and create and all of that, then by all means, stick around. I'll put some final shots in the end, and Hope you enjoy this and have a fun afternoon at home creating in your own studio. Thanks for stopping by. Be sure and hit the like, share, thumbs up, all of those things that help my channel grow. That's how I know that you like the content I'm creating. And if you're going to go shopping on Amazon, then please, by all means, use my link to go over there and do your shopping, because it adds a few cents to my channel so that I can continue to produce videos for you. Thanks, guys.